everyone. Hi, this is Martin from Alpha Yoga School and welcome back to our hands-on adjustments workshop video series. Today we'll talk about Utthita Trikonasana, the extended triangle pose. So Utthita Trikonasana is open hip pose, and so this is what will be our focus. But first, let's start with the foundation. How do you help your student to if they are misaligned in their foundation? So Joanna will apply Utthita Trikonasana pose, and there are two options where the students can be misaligned. Either they have too broad of a stance or too narrow of the stance. The easiest solution of how to say shorten her stance is simply tapping on her ankle with the use of both hands-on physical adjustment and verbal adjustment. I'm going to tap on her ankle and say, Joanna, put your foot here. And I put my hand on the floor so that she can clearly see where I want her to be. I am, as you can see, I'm focused on her back foot, because that is the foot which is easily shuffleable. You can release the pose and maybe set up for too short of a stance, for instance. Relax for a second and then say she's in the pose. And again, I'd like her to rather broaden her pose slightly. So again, I'm going to tap on the outside of her ankle, of her back foot. Joanna, can you put your foot here? This is one of the options where you do not have to worry about the person's balance. You didn't touch her, you didn't get into the student's space. There is one more option where you do not have to squat, because of course as a teacher you want to protect your body. That means that you sometimes you don't have the time or even space to squat because the studio is full, mat to mat. But in that case you have to actually hold the student. If she had a too short of a stance, and this is only applicable if she has too short of a stance, you simply use your foot, but you arrive from her back, hold her hips. This is the way you announce your arrival. Put your hand on her hip and simply tap her foot and say, broaden your stance. But since you're touching her, you already have to balance her. You cannot just come there and start kicking her because she can lose her balance. Simple as that. Let's show you the same foundation adjustment from a different perspective so that you can see it face on. So again, you arrive from the back, squat and say, Joanna, bring your foot here. The broadening of the stance would be arrival and say, Joanna, bring your foot here. Thank you. The other approach, lack of space or maybe lack of time, she only available to shorten short stance. If Joanna, you can apply too short of a stance, very, very, very short. You arrive, place your hand on her hip because her arm probably is going to be extended. Hold her so that you cannot push her forward or you cannot push her back. Simply place your hand so that she can feel secure and then tap her and say, can you broaden your stance? Thank you. That's enough. Good, good, good. Thank you. Thank you. And you can let go if that's the only adjustment. Next, we'll show you the deepening of Utthita Trikonasana. The basic rule of thumbs about where the foundation should be is that if you step your feet parallel and take your arms out, the heels for Utthita Trikonasana, the heels should fall under your elbows or slightly broader. If it is at your wrists or at your palms even, that would mean that the stance is too broad. This is the rule of thumbs, how you can estimate the distance of the feet. So usually you look at the elbows. If they are somewhere around there, the heels, even if she puts the foot out and she's already in the pose, you will slowly and surely develop an eye for the distance where it should be. A lot of times, what happens before you go ahead and deepen someone's Utthita Trikonasana, you first have to take them slightly out of the pose. What usually you find in the studio is that the student is reaching for the aim of the pose, which is holding the big toes, but is sacrificing the alignment of having the hips open and having the rib cage or shoulders open. So in other words, in order for students to reach for the big toes, they close the hips, so the hips are not anymore stacked above each other, and sometimes they actually lean forward. So that means that the torso is not in line with both legs, which is the key alignment of the pose. The legs are in line and the torso is in line with the legs. This is where the torso should be, and also the hips should be trying to stack over each other. So again, the misalignment is bum sticking out, which will tell you that the person needs to be taken out of the pose. Usually a back bend, so it's a chest out. Usually Uddiyana Bandha is for sure lost, and the torso is in front of the legs. So the way you approach this is, first you arrive. The stance for this adjustment is that your feet are parallel with the leading leg of the student. The reason is that if you stabilize the student by placing the hand on over her right hip, and she decides to lose balance, you will catch her in this direction and also in this direction. Here you are very much stable. If you arrived like this and she decided to go, you will go with her. You will simply have to make steps and she can topple you. However, in this stance, which is very important to understand, you and the student are stable for whatever has to come. So we covered the stance. I'm arriving, placing my thigh against the part of the body which sticks out most, and that is the glute. But it is the point where the glute sticks out the most is where behind the bone is, the hip bone is. That, against that, you put one of the hardest thing of your size, which is the IT band, and place your hand on her hip. You are now, she feels secure. There are 2 points of touch, your thigh and your hand. But first, how do you take the student out of the pose? You arrive and reach for the shoulder from the inside. It's not here. It's not anymore the ribs. You simply take her shoulder and say verbally, let go of the toe and grab your ankle. I have my hand inside of the shoulder because, again, if she decides to fall towards away from me, I have her. If I was having the hand here, which could as well work, and if she fell, she could slip from my grip. So I finished here. Now she's higher up. I'll change the hands. The hand will come here, and this one will come here. And I will start looking at the foundation. If she's lifting her toes, that means I'm pulling her towards me. If she's grabbing onto with her toes, that means I'm pushing her too much in. I'm checking her foundation, and now I'll deepen her. My contact with her hips and my hand on the hips will simply, I will push the thigh into the glute as I draw her hips open with my palm. And once that's done, I maintain my position, can fix the hand, which has tendency to usually fall away, fix the hand, place the hand back, fix her head even, but always keeping my hands on her at any cost. Eventually, verbally waiting for 5 breaths, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, exhale, look down, find your balance, Take her fingertips, inhale, come up, help the students come up, and change for the other side. So again, this is a different angle of the camera. I will adjust. First of all, I will take the person out of the pose, and then I will deepen her. I'm coming from her back glute, finding the most sticking out of the glute, and putting my outside of the thigh against it. Holding my hand on her shoulder from the inside, saying, let go of the toe and grab your ankle. Changing my hands, my hand on the shoulder, my second hand on her hip. Inhale and exhale, deepening as I push the torso from leaning forward, back, and pressing this hand in the rolling direction like this. But I'm not moving the hand, I'm simply making this energetic push. Once this is done, I can hold her hand here, my hand here, as I fix her palm, maybe fix her head. Again, changing the hand, saying, draw the ribs in. One finger. 4, next exhale, look down, find your balance. Change your hand, grab her fingertips, and inhale, come out. Exhale, change sides for the left side. So this is the most effective adjustment for Utthita Trikonasana,